All right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience and thank being here on this sunny sunny Monday afternoon. I tell folks you're not allowed to complain about the bad weather, but you can be pumped about good weather. I don't know if that's a fair rule or not. If you don't know me, and even if you do know me, I'm Mark Sandvig. I'm the team leader of KW Legacy Group Realty, and am excited for today's conversation. We are excited to be bringing you a K1 network. Wide Bold. We think that we're better together. And this will be my fourth time in Bold. And I'm excited for us to hear why you should come at all or why you should come back to Bold. I'd love it if you dropped in the chat. Hey, if you've been to Bold or not, like if this would be your first time or if you've been before, would love to have a sense of kind of who's in the room and what we're talking about. So at the end of the day, 5X Bold, Bold twice. I love that. I know Pete Formica probably holds the record. I think he's got 17, something like that. Um,
Right.
and so very, very impressive. At the end of the day, we believe as K1 leaders that winning in real estate means doing things consistently, doing things habitually, focusing on the right activities in order to grow your business. And yet that's not easy. And sometimes we lose sight of things, we get distracted, we get discouraged, we squirrel and think that the shiny object's going to solve our problem. And at the end of the day, we know that that's not typically going to be the case. And so I'm excited for us to hear from Mr. Scott Toombs, who was my first in-person Bold coach in 2021. About who he is and what we can expect from this Bold. So, Scott, before we talk about Bold, who are you? Where do you come from? Love to hear a little bit about your setting.
Yeah, perfect. Number one, thank you. Super stoked. And by the way, Cleveland has had the best weather recently, which is so weird for Cleveland, but that's great. Yeah,
Right.
my name is Scott Toombs. I've been with Keller Williams now, Mark, for almost 20 years. It's kind of interesting when you talk about opportunity and following a model. I'm somebody that got into real estate in 2005, moved halfway across the country to start it. And 9 months after getting my license, went out to start my own real estate company because I'd paid so much money into my broker. Um, and never heard of Keller Williams, went to the usual suspects, Remax, Coral Banker, because I'd heard of them. Ran across Keller Williams, called Keller Williams International 31 times before I got a return call. And the return call was from Wendy Harrelson. And we talked on the phone a little bit. She was a team leader in San Antonio. She asked me to come to Austin. 3 months later, I was 34 years old and we opened our first Keller Williams office. And we've had it now for 19 years, which when you think about that's pretty incredible. The whole time I sold real estate, as we launched that first one, launched my second one in 2010, and still have both of those. And I'm the operating partner of. And then I moved to Ohio, Cincinnati, the wonderful state of OHIO. Became the regional director for the Ohio Valley and worked with Lyndon Jimmy McKissick for about 5 years. And during that time, met Diana Kokoska, and she asked if I ever thought about Bold. So I started coaching Bold in January of 2014. Um, I've been a Bold head coach. I've been the director of Bold, the director of growth for Bold. Yet my honey hole, my sweet spot, my happiness, and the things I love to do is to be in the room, not only teaching Bold and coaching Bold, but learning and living Bold. Selfishly, people go, "Why do you coach Bold?" And a lot of answers, you get to help people grow, and I wish that was it. But selfishly, it's because I want to live a bold life, and I know that part of living a bold life is never getting out of it. So yeah, that's kind of my background, Mark. That's how I got to where I am now.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
saw in the chat that you dropped. We had some people who done three, four, five. Chris, you said 12, and Scott wrote in 149. And I'm guessing that you didn't make that number up. Is that this?
Nope.
Is that
Nope.
this
This is,
number?
yep. These three that I have there will be 46, 146, 147. I'm sorry, 147, 148, 149 in
That's
April.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yep.
So there's some people that have never done Bold and some people that are obviously returners. And I think in this space, as we think about what we need, sometimes it's what's new. I need something new and flashy and different in order to feel like it's for me. And sometimes we just need to know what it's all about. So before we talk about what's different, because um, almost everything is new to those that have done bold in the past. What
Sure.
what is bold? What's the heart of bold? What's it all about? What are we trying to
Mm.
accomplish through bold?
So you have to go back and understand why bold was written. It was written after the 2007, 2008 shift. And the question Gary formed was, how do we get our agents into production in a time where the market had shifted pretty significantly? And so bold was written, and it is a productivity program, and it works on a very, very simple basis. We work on the way that we think, and we work and have accountability around the actions that we take. And when we have that, then we'll change our outcome. As a matter of fact, the formula Gary taught us was when you really look at it, it's mindset plus action equals outcome. And most people in 2025 want to have a better outcome financially, in their health, in their relationships, in their wealth than they did in 2024. Okay. So they focus on the outcome and fall short. What Gary says is that's just the formula. That's the outcome. What you have to focus on is your thinking and your actions. So when you remember the original bold that Diana wrote, that's really what it was. It was, hey, here's different ways of thinking. We're going to challenge your thought process. We're going to help you think differently. And then if we do that, you'll change your actions. And when you change your actions, you'll actually change your outcome. And I guess what it is, it's a productivity program that applies accountability, which we all sometimes shy away from, but we actually really, really have this calling to want more accountability in our lives. So that's what bold is.
It's at the end of the day, it's about not just you learning some new things, but it's about you achieving different things through
Yeah,
that and action. Because none of us got into this business to take notes and go broke. We got into this business to build bigger lives than we thought possible, or bigger lives than where we're coming from.
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And you're right. Here's the thing that's kind of interesting for anybody that's taking it or not taking it. It works. And a matter of fact, Gary said this: it works 100% of the time when you work
Mhm.
it. And he actually used diets. He said, "Did you know that 100% of diets work? You just got to stay on the diet." But the same thing with bold. Bold works 100% of the time. It's just that you've got to work bold. You don't like if you ever notice when you walk somewhere, you have to walk. You can't stand there and think about walking, write notes about walking, meditate on walking. At some point, you got to walk. And to
But
me,
we come up
bold.
with a lot of reasons to not walk, don't we?
Yep, exactly, exactly. It's cold. It's
So
hot. It's uphill.
so So let's talk results for a minute since you kind of
Sure.
segued there. Obviously, bold works if you work it. Um, no one person experiences bold the same way because we're all different people in different phases with different challenges and different obstacles and different goals. But what, as you've done bold now, soon to be 149 times, what are typical results that people can see for those that do show up as A or B students, so to speak?
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. We actually did this history thing on bold. And if you go back to the very beginning, it was 8.3 transactions over 8 weeks. Okay. And then if you go, that was right after the shift. And then you see it go all the way up to almost 15, 14.8 before the pandemic. Right now in October with Gary's Onward Bold, it was 10.4 transactions per agent over a 6 week period. Now, Mark, I'm always super transparent. What a transaction means is a listing taken, a buyer agreement signed, in any property that goes under contract.
A
And you're right,
formal piece
Mark.
of business secured.
Yeah, exactly. And Mark, the other thing is some people do zero and some people do 20.
Right.
Some people don't graduate bold. Some people take this and they make it the foundation of everything they build after it.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And I've witnessed witnessed both of those paths. Bold works if you work it. So this bold is different. You've shared that Gary's kind of gone back and rewritten bold. Why did he rewrite it, and what are some of the things that people can expect to be different in this bold for those that have been the 4, 5, 12 time
Yeah.
bold participants?
So let me kind of start it off like this. And this is Tammy Young shared it to me this way. 99.5% of bold is new. What's not new is there are 8 bold laws that stayed in one conversation we use. And those are the only thing from bold that you've experienced in the past that are in this bold.
Hmm.
One thing Gary said, and I thought this was kind of interesting, he said, we have an ego if we believe there's only one way that works. So when you see conversations and when we do our lead generation, you're going to notice he's going to give you 7 different conversation frameworks so that you can use them. You don't have to, we're not going to say this is the only way. We're going to say, hey, here's a lot of choices. Okay, let's go pick one and go implement it to re-engage our database. We've brought social media and Ken Pozak's social media ladder into every step of BOLD. And I always ask people, how many of you are on social media? And a lot of hands go up. And I go, well, how many people have people that they know that are on social media? So the step up ladder that Ken has provided us, we don't just talk about it, we do it every single week. And you get to see the results of it in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many of us have taken notes on the thing and done nothing with the thing? That's the thing. And I know some of you and myself included went to family reunion recently. Gosh, I took a ton of notes, but I've gone enough times to know, hey, I need to find like 2 things that I bring back. And BOLD is designed to flip that on its side. We're doing it along the way.
Yeah. And the other big difference, and if you were at family reunion, if you don't think this is Gary's baby, I mean, he spent an entire session just teaching the 10 bold truths. And, you know, I want to take us back to the writing room last year when Cody stepped into the role as the vice president of MAPS coaching. And Gary said, we want to rewrite this. And we brought in all the material from 2009 all the way till 2024. And which was stacks and stacks of manuals. And Gary asked us to remove them from the room. And he asked the question, what would we write for our people now? And he set off and he rewrote BOLD. So when we say it's different, I use the word wildly different. The things that are the same though are some of the most important things. And you mentioned it. It's the accountability, because without that, BOLD doesn't work. So we have an accountability that, to me, helps us take actions we probably wouldn't. And the teams, because we know that you're more likely to do what you say you're going to do when you promise others, your peers, than you would if you just said it to you. Mm-hmm. Everything else, though, I mean, it's wildly different. We give you multiple listing presentations to choose from, multiple buyer consultations to choose from. Gary works on our thinking through the BOLD truth on a weekly basis. And right now, you know, even in BOLD, people are getting to go hear Gary every Monday. He's going in and talking directly to the BOLD students as a bonus. And our fingers are crossed that that's going to happen in April too. But we just know with his schedule, that's one day going to go away. So I'm just hoping it's not then, but I don't know the facts on that yet. He's doing it now.
Fingers crossed that we get some of that experience as well.
Yeah, it'd be great because you get Cody one day and you also get Jason. That's every week. Okay. He's literally coming on doing a live Zoom, you know, with 1,000 people. That's talking awesome. About what he wants to talk about.
Mark, can I hijack real quick and ask a question?
Please. Yeah, please.
Scott, so I feel like looking at this room for the agents that I know, there's a lot of newer agents on here that might have put in, this is my first time, or this is going to be my first time. There's also a lot of agents that have done this a handful of times. Can you kind of like tell us what to expect on a day-to-day basis? Like you said, some things are staying the same. So the accountability, getting in a team setting, what things are changing, what things are maybe not changing, but what does a 6-hour day look like Thursday to Thursday?
Sure. So Thursday on every Thursday, what does it look like in the BOLD room? Yeah, so it's super simple. Gary does it this. He has 2 BOLD truths that we're going to cover, steps 2 all the way through step 5. We do 1 on step 1 and 1 on step 10. That's the 10 BOLD truths. Those are all about your life. Okay. I mean, they hit your business, they hit your mindset, they hit everything. They change the way that you think. So we're always going to work on our thinking every step of BOLD. And then there's going to be action in there. Although, you know, from social media where you lead generate, from texting, phone calls, micro events, open houses, we're going to give you systems and access to systems and then ask you to go do those during the week. You're going to be on a team. We're going to do exercises that are going to help you digest the mindset process and then have accountability to what we say we're going to do during the week. It's really interesting that a class like this, Danielle, is you're in a room with me for 6 days out of 6 weeks. You're with your team the other 36 days. And so it's a really massive, when you have accountability on a daily basis, when you're checking in, it's like anything else. Whatever you're focused on expands in your world. It's a bold law and a bold truth now. You will see that the accountability, when we focus on activity, your activity increases. When your activity increases, you go to more closings. And that's as simple as it gets.
Yeah, I would also agree that, and I don't know if she's on here. I think Chris Mascarino's on here, but Yatra, his wife, said to me today, she signed up for Bold, and she said she is always saying how May and June are her busiest months. And a lot of that is like kids are coming home from school, they're in sports, right? Summer. And so Chris had made the point of like, Bold will keep you on track, right? Like Bold is the accountability that's going to keep you on track so that you don't move away from the activities and the actionable items that you should be doing, and helps you focus on your business throughout even the busiest month. So I challenge anybody that's sitting on here saying, but it's the spring market and it's going into summer and we're busy. Bold is there to help keep you on track throughout that.
Yeah. And Daniel, I think that's the time you need to be in Bold, when it's busy, because it does exactly what she says. It cuts down the noise on the 80% and brings the focus on the most important thing, which is the point.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I was going to say that the top two reasons that people don't participate in Bold, one is time. I'm too busy. I got too much going on. And we spoke to that. The other one is money. Bold costs $799, folks. That's a real investment. It's more than a night out sort of cost. Scott, help us understand that how agents should think about the cost as it relates to their business.
Well, I think it should be an investment. I always, it's interesting. If I went to any of the Danielles or Mark and I said, hey, it's 1978 and we have an opportunity to buy Apple stock, what would you do?
Yeah.
And the answer is we would all mortgage our house to do it right now because we know the outcome. What we're asking you to do is to invest in yourself. And that's what it is. It's $799. If you got one additional deal, you would have made your money back and much more. And yet the average agent does 10.4. It is the number one objection. And I go back and I'll just tell you a personal story. If money would have been the indicator of whether I could open my first market center because I had none, I wouldn't have owned a market center that has created millions of dollars in profit over the last 20 years. Please don't, figure it out. I mean that. Like and I don't. If you're not going to bet on you, who else is? Yeah. Nobody's coming for you. I hope you hear that from my heart.
If you hit those 10 deals and say your average GCI is 5K, that's 50K, turn $800 into $50,000. And again, Bold works if you do the work. So we're not selling any snake oil here.
Well, if you told me that, hey, if I pay $799, you'll give me $5,000, I would give you all the $799 I possibly could. That's just one additional deal. And here's the thing, I used to tell people, if your car broke down the side of the road, going to a listing where you knew you were going to get both sides of it, and the mechanic drives up and you had to be there at a certain time, and the mechanic drives up and says, I got good news and bad news. The good news is I can fix it. The bad news is it costs $799. What would you do? I mean, you figure it out. You call your family. You would say, is there anything in my car I can sell you? Do we need to fake an injury? Whatever it may be. Am I going to continue to say $799? And here's my pain with this is next year, is that going to be the same way? Is that going to be the same story? I don't have $799 to invest myself. And then the next year, is that going to be the same story? And the next year, here's an interesting stat. Only 8% of the population gets out of the income bracket it's born into. And the reason why is they have programming around money. And to me, this is not an expense. It is an investment in you.
Yep.
If I could pay for all of you, I would. You got to have skin in the game. Go ahead, Danielle.
I was just going to say, can I add something? And this came off our leadership call today. And I'm not sure if there's leadership on here from Shervenic, but because we're going to talk about money, I just want to make sure that nobody gets off this call feeling very deflated, even though this is an investment in your business. I know that there's a lot of Elevate and Living agents on here. I know there's a lot of Legacy agents on here. There's a lot of Shervenic agents on here as well. If you're with Elevate or Living, come see me about the financial pieces of this, because I do think all of our market centers at K1 are going to get creative around this. It is going to look different market center to market center. So I don't want to speak too much about that, and neither does Mark. But make sure you come see your TL before you sign up to understand what we're doing in partnership with you guys as you invest in your businesses. And I won't say anything more than that. I don't know if you want to go any further, Mark, but
No, that's great. I was gonna
okay, great.
put the bookmark in there. I did drop registration links. So a couple logistical details. You guys have gotten emails. You'll get loads more. Starts on Thursday, April 17th. That's first step to bold. That's in, and technically speaking, we don't really like to advertise this, but technically speaking, you can come to that first one for free. We want you committed, but showing up to that day, because you're going to show up differently to that day if you're already committed to the process. And then there's a separate registration for steps 2 through the finish. I said steps 2 to 7, but that's my old memory. It's steps 2 to 7.
That's okay. I
Yeah.
get it. Programming.
Yeah. And so you do need to register for both. Starts Thursday, April 17th in Fairlawn at St. George's, which if you did last Bold with Scott, it's the same venue. So some familiarity there. Are there other questions for Scott in particular while we've got him about him or what you can expect to experience in this round of Bold? You can drop it in the chat or feel free to unmute and ask away.
Well, I'd love for you to unmute and ask away, but you can drop it in the box. Yeah.
I would also just add, not to peer pressure, because it's really not my thing, but this is going out to all of K1, and we've got about 1,200 agents, 1,300 agents. We obviously are going to sell out. And so if you are sort of on the fence, or you've done this before and you're like, I'm just going to go to First Step and see if I really like this guy, Scott, my encouragement is to not do that if you're even a little over halfway committed to this, because it's going to sell out. We've only got about 90 seats in that room, and this is going out to 1,200 agents. So just something to consider. If you're thinking through, I might do it sooner rather than later, and we're going to keep you updated. So if you're waiting for a commission to come through and clear, that's okay too. We're not going to sell it this week, which would be pretty awesome if we did. But if you are leaning into it, I would suggest that you find a way to make it work sooner rather than later, because I think we will get to day one and it will be sold out at First Step.
Yep.
I agree. I agree.
Awesome. Well, Scott, I know you're a busy man. I know you all are busy people. Save the links, read the emails, and tune in when your respective market center leadership is talking about it. We're excited, Scott, to bring you back, and I'm excited personally for my world and my business to grow through this season. So appreciate you all. Enjoy the sunny week that we're going to have, and go get them.
Thank you. You have a great one. Bye, guys.